Welcome, everyone, to Digital Ecommerce Podcast. I'm your host, Kenneth Dian Lam, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have you join us today. I'm incredibly excited for today's episode because we have an exceptional guest with us. Joining us, Will, the CEO of CustomerWhoClick, a top-tier CRO agency based in London, UK. Will and his team specialize in optimizing e-commerce website for performance and revenue, employing their unique UAMMethod for customer conversion. Will, how are you today?
Hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. In UK, hot today. Yesterday it's hot. I was playing badminton, so it's indoor and I was sweating nonstop. Today is a little bit better. How about yourself in London?
Yeah, it's South London. And there's no way I'd be playing in the inside courts at our tennis club. There'd be about 50 degrees in there. It's like a greenhouse.
Okay, yeah. I used to play in David Lloyd as well for tennis club, and then it was amazing. But then in summer, it's just the worst, I guess. Yeah. Right. So, Will, would you mind to give us an introduction about yourself, maybe?
Yeah, sure. So, I run CustomerWhoClick. We're an e-commerce specialist CRO agency. I've been doing this for about 4.5 years now as an agency, and then before that, my experience was in-house. So I was doing this for the brands I was working with, and I kind of just fell into CRO. I was always more on the email marketing side, like building customer relationships, nurturing, and then I'm doing some research, customer research to figure out some problems. And never got into the ad side. Never really interested me running PPC ads or Facebook ads, things like that. It was always once we get people to the website, what's the problem we're trying to solve for them? What are we trying to help them with? How do we get them to understand that and get them to experience that?
Cool. I like it. It's more of specializing in one kind of things. Let's see, by the end of this episode, am I gonna be different in understanding the way CRO works? Because what I always understand CRO is more of optimizing and A/B testing things, just like PPC. It means that if there's something that is really special that I might not understand yet. So why don't we start with why is it crucial for e-commerce business to run CRO?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think everyone's seeing it. The cost of acquisition are going up, right? It's getting harder and harder to acquire customers. There's more competition out there, and not just in your space. So I'm not talking about there being more and more t-shirt brands, right? And so they're all competing together. There's more competition for the ad inventory, right? Which is obviously raising prices. There's more competition for share of wallet and share of customers' attention. So if someone puts a better ad in front of someone and gives them a better experience on their website, that brand's going to get their money, and you're going to have to wait until that person gets paid again, right? Which could be a month away. It could be a couple of weeks. And if it does happen to be a competitor to you and someone you're actually competing with, you could lose that customer for years.
Let us know why is it crucial for e-commerce business for CRO?
Yeah, sure. So obviously it's getting more and more expensive and more difficult to acquire customers. There's not just more competition in your space. I think I saw the stat, it was 1,700 new Shopify stores every week, right? And that's not including physical retail, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, Magento, all the other stores that could be, are popping up as well. So just the competition for everything is getting really intense. So if you don't get that purchase because you miss out to something, you've got to wait, right? And best case scenario, you lose out to someone in a different category, right? So if you're selling t-shirts, you lose out to someone who sells maybe jewelry, right?
Yeah.
Separate thing. So you might think, okay, well, they're going to come back, they'll come to us eventually. But, you have to wait for that person to get paid, right? Because they might have spent their free budget on jewelry instead. You've now got to wait for them to have that spare budget to spend on t-shirts. Worst case scenario, though, you lose them to a competitor who has put a more exciting ad in front of them, has given them a better online experience, and is going to get that person's money. And then if some person likes that product, they're going to stick with them, right? I use the example of I wear True Classic t-shirts now. They fit me well. I really like them. It's going to be so difficult for anyone to get me away from them now, right? Unless True Classic messes up, right? Because I know they fit me. I know they look good. I'm happy with that. It's really easy for me to go on their website and just reorder, right? So that's the problem we're facing or brands facing e-commerce right now, it's not just the direct competition. It's the fact that if people spend their money elsewhere, with cost of living issues we've had over the last 18 months, 2 years, people are being more careful with the budget. Not only have they got less of it, but they're being more careful with it. So, if you miss out on that opportunity to get someone to click your ad, to get someone to then make a purchase, you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to spend more money to get that person back. And then a lot of brands, if you're not doing CRO properly, a lot of brands will be spending money just to bring back their own customers again and again.
Right. I agree. Like the whole customer journey starts from the first sales. So could you tell us more about the unique method that I think you're well known for, UAMMethod? So what's that about?
Yeah, so the UAM method is split into three kind of topics. We've got usability, which is the functionality of the website, right? Firstly, does it work properly? Secondly, is it super fast? And thirdly, does it do the best possible job at helping people find the products they want to buy and then help them buy it, right? So product discoverability, navigation, search, all that sort of stuff. Is that doing a really good job? Can people really easily select their product options, their bundles, their quantities, or whatever it is they need to do, any personalizations or customizations, and then make the purchase, right? So we need to get rid of as many blockages as we can there, and we need to just optimize the experience, right? We need to make sure that when we're presenting options to people, we do it in the correct format for the product they're looking at, the number of options that we're providing, all that sort of stuff. Then we've got anxiety, which is the questions and concerns someone has. So, purchasing anything, you've got questions, right? It could be as simple as, is this the right size? Is it the right material? What ingredients are in it? All these sort of basic questions that people have to ask, right? Using the t-shirt example again, right? I want to know, I normally feel like I buy a medium and everything. Is medium the right size for this brand, or do I need something different, right? So if you can get past that, it's fine. Then you've got to look at, what are those kind of longer term questions, right? Because it's not about the kind of immediate usage question. There's also like maintenance, right? And ongoing basis. So how do I wash the t-shirts, right? You'd expect them to be machine washable, but you might want to know, are they dry clean only? So they have to be done at a certain temperature. Are they going to shrink? Are they going to, lose their color? All these sort of questions go through people's minds. Another example is a lighting brand we worked with. Customers wanted to know if the light bulb breaks or something goes wrong, can they buy any light bulb from any shop and replace it? Or do they have to come back to that brand to buy it? Because obviously they're then thinking, well, firstly, it's a hassle to have to come back to an online brand, speak to them, find the light bulb and whatever. And the other consideration is, if you go bust and I can no longer get in touch with you, what happens to my light? Right? Is that it? Is it over? And then there are some questions and concerns about the business as well, right? If someone's never heard of you, they've got to think, do I trust you? Do other people trust you? Why should I buy from you? And then the third part is motivation. So this is kind of the wow factor around your products, really. What's the pain point that someone is trying to get away from? Or what is the desired outcome they're trying to achieve? And do they see that your product helps them get there and helps them achieve what they want to achieve? Because that's the thing that gets them over the line, right? Going back to like t-shirts, for example, True Classic have built a $300+ million brand selling plain t-shirts, right? So, for a decent amount of money, I think they start at about $25 a t-shirt. They've obviously done something to get people so interested that, they're converting people really well and they've got that good lifetime value. And it's all around the motivation factor is the fit of the t-shirt and how it looks on you. And so they talk about the fact that, you don't have to be in the gym 4 hours a day, every day to have a good enough body to wear these t-shirts. They look good on anyone, regardless of what you want to do. And that's the wow factor that gets people to say, well, I don't want to spend $10 on a t-shirt at this store. I'm happy to spend $20 or $25 at this store because I'm going to look good. And that's a perfect example of why, again, like price, even in this sort of category with t-shirts, price doesn't matter that much, right? As long as you can really show the value of something and why it's going to be so important to someone, they'll buy. And that's how we came up with the UAM method. We realized that pretty much every test we're running falls into those categories.
If you're starting your e-commerce journey, we've got the perfect service for you. We specialize in product research to help you find the right winning products for your store. And if you're interested in dropshipping, we offer an all-in-one service for under $30. From website creation to importing products, we get your store up and running in no time. Interested? Visit our website or click the link in the description box to get started. Let's make your e-commerce dreams a reality.
When a client comes to you, what do you normally first start with them? Do you first start understanding the consumer behavior of the brand, or do you normally start with listing out a bunch of solutions, and then you will slowly filter out the most important things to put in the website? Or is it just get started with A/B testing with the buttons and things? Like, are there any special things that you will do first?
Yes, I mean, I think we've done a button test once, right? Button testing is not a thing in CRO. It's always an example that's used weirdly, but unless you've got a ghost button with a terribly written call to action on it, you don't need to test your buttons. So everything we do starts with research. So we normally dive into GA4, have a look at that purchase funnel to find out where people are dropping off the most. And for Shopify brands, it tends to be product discoverability, so product views, or it's add to cart. That's where we see the two biggest problems. Because once someone gets into the checkout flow, either they're going to have a good time, they're going to check out, they won't have a problem, or we find that the brand has done something that is causing the problem. Right? And that could be as simple as there's a shipping fee. Right? So it's not like exactly a fault of the brand, but it's the brand has made the decision to charge shipping fees on that value of basket, and that could be a problem. But yeah, normally Shopify checkout is fine. So we're looking at how do we get people to view products and how do we get them to add to cart, and then it's a case of customer research and finding out why they're not clicking things, why they're struggling to find the products, and why they're not adding them to cart.
So it's more of like a user experience, or do you think upsell and downsell is part of the CRO as well?
Yeah, I mean, we view it as customer revenue optimization rather than conversion rate optimization. So, conversion rates are fine, but if I increase your conversion rate 25%, 50%, right, would you be happy with that?
Of course, I'm just going to be happy.
Well, you say that, but if your revenue drops 50% because we've just given incentives and free shipping and everything, then you're going to be in a worse situation, because if I double your conversion rate by half your AOV, you're going to get exactly the same amount of money in, but you'll be less profitable because your margins, you still got your costs and stuff. So we use revenue per visitor as our main metric when testing, because that's the blended metric of conversion rate and AOV. So it tells us, when we run this test, are we making more or less money, right? And for most brands, that's what matters. Are they making more or less money? Occasionally, there are, of course, subscription brands who are happy just with conversion, right? So they really, really are happy to get as many people through the door as possible because they know they're going to make that money in the long term off the subscription. But for the majority of standard e-commerce brands, it's, are we making an improvement to this website that is driving more money?
So is lifetime value part of your equation?
A little bit. It's something we look at. It's really difficult to tie into a test. In fact, it's impossible to tie into a test, because you're looking at, you want to look at 3, 6, 9 months data, right? But you can analyze what those people are doing down the line, right? But a lot of the time, you should be pretty aware of what your test is going to do and the impact it's going to have, just on what you're doing. If you're making a bold claim, then you might say, well, maybe we should monitor returns rate for this for these people as well, because they might feel that our claim is not matching up to the actual product experience, so we might see more returns. But for the most things we're doing, sometimes we're just trying to make it easier to buy, right? And that shouldn't really impact anything else. On the anxiety side, we should just be answering questions and getting social proof on there. So it normally comes down to motivation, really. If you overdo it on the motivation side and you make kind of wild claims about how amazing these products are, and then people get them and they say, well, actually it's pretty average, that's when you might start to see returns increase or lifetime value problems. But majority of the time, we're looking at the revenue from that test.
So what are the metrics in between the testing leading up to the revenue? Like what are in between of those that like laddering, different stage, then you count as in a successful CRO campaign?
In the tests.
In the test, yeah.
In the tests. It does depend a bit on the test. So we will pretty much always measure final conversion rate and revenue, because again, like for most brands, that's what matters. If we make a change to the website and we don't see more revenue from it, then if we've increased the number of people who click on a product at one end, but we're not making more money, it means we must be doing something bad, right? We must be getting clicks that aren't actually valuable, because if that's the only thing that changes, then we should see more money at the end. Because if 10% more people view a product and all your other metrics stay the same, you should see more money, right? So we're always looking at that end result. But yeah, on a test by test basis, we will test interaction with whatever it is we're doing, right? So if we are doing a test on filters on a product listing page, we will look at we'll measure the clicks on those filters to see firstly how many people are clicking on them, and what does the conversion rate from there look like? Because it's another key thing you have to look at. Because if you make a change, let's say you add a video or a little link or a video in your image gallery, whatever, and you see a lift in revenue from that test, it's really important to look at how many people actually watched that video and interacted with it, and what was their impact on the test result. Because what you might find is that your actual test did nothing, and that no one watched your video. And so that has had no impact on revenue, in which case it probably means you haven't run your test long enough, and you've just got a bit of a skew in the data. So there's a lot of analysis that has to go into it, and you obviously, without being like too pessimistic and stuff, you have to question things a lot and not take things at face value. Which is why we segment data a lot. We use a lot of kind of custom KPIs for tests to make sure what we're actually testing is having an impact.
A consistent flow of a customer that would allow you to test it constantly. Otherwise, it's going to be statistical insignificance, right?
Yeah.
Would there be a situation that where you finish testing and then there's no result at all?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the industry average is about 30% success rate for testing, right? Because
20%, 30.
30, yeah. Because even if whatever research you do, it's still just a hypothesis. It's still just an idea, and that's why we test. Otherwise, if you were so confident, you wouldn't bother running the test. You'd figure out what the problem is and say, okay, based on the research, this is the change, and you just do it. So yeah, you have to understand that some tests fail, some tests are successful, and some tests are pretty much end up having no impact.
Right.
And you have to go understand why. So you have to again do the research. You have to review your test and say, well, why did we do this test in the first place, right? So look back on the research you did and the hypothesis and the problem statement, and figure out why did we actually run this test, and why do we think this has not had the change that we anticipated. So is it an execution issue or is it a research issue? And did we misunderstand what people were saying, or was the research flawed, right? And did we accidentally lead people into an answer? So there's loads of things you've got to consider, because at the end of the day, you did run a test for a reason. So whether that test is successful or not, there is something there to think about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. What are the biggest challenges that you're facing? I know that like tracking is not working, maybe open rate from email is not working anymore. Like, would that affect your you're tracking progress?
As long as traffic stays fairly similar or goes up, we're fine. If traffic suddenly takes a dip for a brand, then it may affect testing because tests will take longer. We do ask that clients, try and maintain their spend at least. Now, ideally, they're increasing them because, it's difficult to work with brands who are struggling, right? CRO, especially A/B testing, it is a slow process. It requires research. If a brand is in that panic mode of, things aren't great and we're desperate for growth, CRO might not be the best thing to do to try and fix it, because CROs want to take a very methodical approach to things. Your best bet is probably get rid of your paid agency and get a new one, because they're, unless it's to do with your economics and stuff, it's probably a problem on the ad side. Most websites are good as a base standard, right? Unless you start messing with things. Most, like Shopify themes, for example, they're all good themes because that's why Shopify allows you to use them, right? So if you use that, set your products up, you are at a good base level. So as long as you, like I said, don't mess with the usability of the website. If you answer people's questions about your products, and if you explain why your product is good, and if your ads are doing the same, and grabbing people and getting their attention, you should do okay, and you should grow, and you should see some good growth. If you are struggling and actually have a problem, conversion rate optimization can help you, but I would say it's more designed for taking a brand that is good and ready to really start scaling and helping it do that, rather than coming and fixing a brand that is panicking and having a problem.
True, yeah. What do you see as a future of a conversion rate optimization in the next 5 to 10 years?
It's going to be either good or bad in terms of AI. The bad is that AI is not going to just automatically fix your conversion rates and do all these wonderful things that people can claim it will. And we're just not there yet. We're a long way off. What AI is really good at doing, though, is helping you and making you more efficient as a marketer, as a CRO, and as a brand. But it's not something we're a long way off being able to just plug in a tool to your website, an AI tool, and just letting it do its thing and improve your conversion rates, because there's just so much stuff it can't know and won't know, right? It doesn't do any customer research, right? So if it's not doing customer research and understanding your customers, how can it optimize your website, right? But I think it allows us to do that research much, much quicker now, right? And do more of it quicker. So I think AI is going to be really good, and I think it's going to be used a lot in the industry. But I also worry that people who are not CRO people are going to start making claims that AI can improve conversion rates, and we do CRO with AI, whatever. But actually, they've just got some software that does a few essentially best practice things, because that's all it's been taught, right? AI CRO tools have been taught this is what a good website looks like, and this is what how things should be done. Right? So it doesn't know any better than that.
Yeah, I guess so as well. I also see an AI tool lately is about heat map. Like, it's not like Microsoft Clarity they were talking about. It's not about Hotjar. It's more of like you just send them a landing page, and then that heat map is just about where is the user attention going to focus on. Do you think those are like legit or not?
It's rubbish.
It's rubbish.
It can't. It's not using any data. Like it's literally a case of it's been taught what a good page should look like, and therefore is picking up on those elements and just telling you where people are probably looking based on how your page is structured. It's not telling you what actually is happening. So, I think it is just a scam.
I guess so, yeah.
Right?
I guess you have to feed them with data first, right?
It's there's no other way of saying it, really. It's not giving you real information and real insight about your business. It is making a guess based on the best practices that it has been taught should be in place.
Right. Interesting. No. Okay. I think we should wrap up here today. Will, thank you for today. Can you let us know how can our audience find you?
Yeah, sure. Best place is LinkedIn. So just WillLaurenson on LinkedIn. We've also launched a CRO checklist, which you can find on our website at CustomerSwhoClick.com/conversions-checklist.
Cool. I'll sure link them into the bio later on. So Will, thanks so much for your time. I guess we'll meet next time. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
Cheers.